Today I will be discussing how to develop a program using C++ for hybrid inheritance. Now let us go to next slide. On completion of this period, you would be able to know what is hybrid inheritance, syntax of hybrid inheritance, and implementation of hybrid inheritance. Now let us jump into the actual topic. What is hybrid inheritance? Let us see first definition. Hybrid inheritance is a type of inheritance which comprises more than one form of inheritance. In short, C++ hybrid inheritance is the combination of two or more inheritances such as single inheritance, multiple inheritance, multi-level inheritance, or hierarchical inheritance. Now let us see simple definition, that is definition 2. Hybrid inheritance is combination of two or more inheritances such as single inheritance, multiple inheritance, multi-level inheritance, or hierarchical inheritance. Now let us go to next slide. Yes, this is the hybrid inheritance diagram 1. Actually, what is hybrid inheritance? It is a combination of two or more inheritances. So here, if you consider the diagram, if you follow the path between the A and B, then it is considered as a single inheritance. If you consider the path between the A and B, it is considered as a single inheritance. Now, if you consider the path among P, C and D, B, C and D, here T is a bottommost derived class which derives or which inherits the properties of the class C and the properties of the class B, which inherits properties of the class B and C. This type of inheritance is called what? Multiple inheritance. So the here this part of diagram represents multiple inheritance, and this part of diagram, this AB part, represents what? Single inheritance. Okay, here we have two types of inheritances in one diagram. That is, if you follow the path from A to B, it is single inheritance. If you follow the path from B to D, and if you follow the path from C to D, this is a multiple inheritance. So hybrid inheritance is a combination of two or more inheritances. Here we have two inheritances. Now we can see another diagram of hybrid inheritance. Here, hybrid inheritance diagram 2. For example, here base class is a parent class or base class to all the classes. Here derived class 3 is a bottommost derived class. Here derived class 1 and derived class 2 are intermediate base classes. And if you follow the path, base class to derived class 1, it comprises of single inheritance. It consists of single inheritance. If you follow the path from base class to derived class 2, it is also a single inheritance. If you follow the path from derived class 1 to derived class 3 and derived class 2 to derived class 3, it represents or it indicates what? Multiple inheritance. It indicates multiple inheritance. And if you follow the path from base class to derived class 1, derived class 1 to derived class 3, it represents multi-level inheritance. If you follow the path base class 2, derived class 2, derived class 2, derived class 3, it follows what? Multi-level inheritance. So this type of inheritance is said to be hybrid inheritance. So we can perform hybrid inheritance in many number of ways. Now let us see another diagram, hybrid inheritance star diagram. This is a one of the complicated example of hybrid inheritance. If you follow the path from class B to class D, this is a single inheritance. From class C to class D, this is also single inheritance. Class A to class D, this is also single inheritance. But if you follow this part in the diagram, this is a multiple inheritance. What is multiple inheritance? Multiple inheritance is one which contains two or more number of the base classes. Here we have how many number of the base classes? 3 number of the base classes. What are they? Class A, class B and class C, and only one derived class. What is the derived class here? Class D is a derived class. So the path from class A to class D, class B to class D, class C to class D represents multiple inheritance. For example, let us follow the another path. Class B to class D, class D to class F. This type of inheritance is called multi-level inheritance. Multi-level inheritance is one in which there exists one base class. Class B is a base class and one derived class. Class F is a derived class and one intermediate base class. Class D is a intermediate base class here. If you follow this path, then it is called multi-level inheritance. Now let us consider another example, that is another part, not another example, another part, that is from path from class D to class E and class D to class F and class D to class G. Now let us consider this part of the program. Class D, class E, class F and class G. It represents hierarchical inheritance. Hierarchical inheritance is one in which there exists only one base class. Here we have one base class, that is class D, and there exist multiple number of derived classes. Class E is a one derived class, class F is another derived class, and class G is another derived class. This type of the inheritance is said to be hybrid inheritance. So hybrid inheritance is a combination of two or more types of the inheritances, or hybrid inheritance is a combination of all the inheritances. Here we have seen single inheritance, multiple inheritance, multi-level inheritance and hierarchical inheritance. If you consider the path from B to D, this is a single inheritance. If you consider the path from class B to class D, class D to class F, this is called multi-level inheritance. If you consider the path from class A to class D, class B to class D and class C to class D, this is called multiple inheritance. If you consider the path from class D to class E and class D to class F and class D to class G, this is a hierarchical inheritance. So hybrid inheritance is a combination of all the inheritances, or simply hybrid inheritance is a combination of two or more inheritances. Now let us go to the previous slides. Now in order to implement this diagram, in order to implement hybrid inheritance diagram 1, we have to follow this syntax. Syntax 1 to define the hybrid inheritance. Now in this diagram, here we have a path from A to B and B to D. If you take the path from A to B and B to D, here D is a bottommost derived class, A is a base class and B is a intermediate base class. Now if you take path from C to D, here C is a base class and D is a derived class. Now this is the syntax 1, define the hybrid inheritance. Now first we have to write class base class 1. This is the topmost base class. Next we have to write the set of the statements within the open bracket and close the bracket. After that we have to close the declaration of the class. Now next one is what? class, keyword class is followed by IB class 1. IB class 1 represents intermediate base class. Intermediate base class is followed by colon operator. Colon operator is followed by visibility mode. Here, this is a base class 1. It is a name of the base class 1. Here, IB class 1 inherits properties of the base class 1, which inherits what? Properties of the base class 1. So the relation between the IB class 1 and base class 1 is single inheritance. Is what? Single inheritance. Next, after that, we have to write the set of the operations within the brackets. Then after that, we have to write the terminating semicolon at the end of the class declaration or definition. Next one is class, then followed by base class 2. Base class 2 is the name of the base class 2. Here, what is the base class 2 in our example? Class C. C is a base class 2. Now, base class 2. Next, within the open bracket and closed bracket, we have to write the set of the operations, or we have to write the set of the statements. Next, we have to write the definition of bottommost derived class. What is the bottommost derived class in our example? Class D. This class D is bottommost derived class. Now, the class D, first we have to write the keyword class, then followed by derived class 3. Derived class 3. Here, derived class 3 is a bottommost derived class. In our example, bottommost derived class is D. Then colon operator, then followed by visibility mode. Visibility mode, then followed by IB class 1. IB class 1. IB class 1 means intermediate base class, comma. Visibility mode is followed by base class 2. Base class 2 is what? This one. Base class 2 is this one. What is the IB class 1? This is the IB class 1. Where derived class inherits the properties of the IB class 1 and the properties of the base class 2 by using visibility mode. So here this syntax represents what? Multiple inheritance. Here we have single inheritance, here we have multiple inheritance. So this hybrid inheritance comprises of two inheritances. They are single inheritance and multiple inheritances. Next, let us see another syntax. Syntax 2. Let us see syntax 2 to define the hybrid inheritance. Now let us see example 2. Hybrid inheritance example 2. Hybrid inheritance diagram 2. This is the hybrid inheritance diagram 2. Here we have one base class. Topmost base class is base class. Bottommost derived class is derived class 3. And we have two intermediate base classes, that is derived class 1 and derived class 3. Now, if you follow the path from base class to derived class 1, there exists a single inheritance. If you follow the path from base class to derived class 2, there exists single inheritance. And if you consider the path from derived class 1 to derived class 3 and derived class 2 to derived class 3, this is an example of what? Multiple inheritance. So let us implement this diagram syntax. Now look here. Syntax to define a hybrid inheritance. Class base class 1. This is a topmost base class. Next we have to write set of the statements within the brackets. Then we have to write body of the base class. Then we have to close the declaration of the class. This is the definition of topmost base class. Next we have to write definition of intermediate base class 1, that is class IB class 1. IB class 1 means intermediate base class 1. In our example, what is the intermediate base class 1? This one. Derived class 1 is the intermediate base class. Already we have seen what is intermediate base class in the previous class. Intermediate base class is one which acts as a in one context. Once again I am repeating, what is intermediate base class? Intermediate base class is one. In one context it acts as a base class, in another context it acts as a derived class, right? Now next we have to write colon operator, then followed by visibility mode. The visibility mode is followed by base class 1. Sorry, next we have to write visibility mode. Visibility mode is followed by base class 1. Here IB class 1 inherits the properties of the base class 1. Next, after that we have to write the set of the statements within the brackets. Next let us see class IB class 2. Class IB class 2 colon operator, then followed by visibility mode. Next base class 1. Base class 1. Next here IB class 2 is the another intermediate base class. In our example, what is the intermediate base class? Derived class 2. This one is the intermediate base class which inherits the properties of the what? Base class. Yes. In this example also, which inherits the properties of the base class 1. Now within the brackets we have to write the set of the statements. Next we have to close the definition of the intermediate base class 2. Here we have single inheritance relation between the IB class 1 and base class 1. Here we have single inheritance between the IB class 2 and base class 1. Now let us define bottommost derived class, that is class derived class 3 colon operator is followed by visibility mode IB class 1 comma visibility mode IB class 2, means derived class 3 inherits the properties of IB class 1 and the properties of IB class 2. Next we have to write set of the statements within the open bracket and close the bracket. This is the syntax to define a hybrid inheritance. Next let us go to a very important concept. Already here we have written visibility mode. Here also we have written visibility mode. Here also we have written visibility mode. Here also we have written visibility mode. In the place of the visibility mode, either you can write public or you can write private or you can write protected. The visibility mode always defines boundaries of the members of the particular class. Now I will be discussing rules of visibility modes. When the visibility mode is public, the public members of base class become public members in derived class. They are accessible to derived class objects. Now let us jump into the table. Now when the visibility mode is public, the public members of base class become public members in derived class. Now let us see second point. When the visibility mode is public, the protected members of the base class become protected members in derived class. Now look here. When the visibility mode is public, the protected members of the base class become protected members in the derived class. Now let us see third point. Next point. When the visibility mode is protected, the public members of the base class become protected members in the derived class. Now let us go to the table. When the visibility mode is protected, the public members of base class become protected members in the derived class. Next let us see next point. When the visibility mode is protected, the protected members of the base class become protected members in the derived class. Now let us go to the table. When the visibility mode is protected, The protected members of base class become protected members in the derived class. Now let us see next point. When visibility mode is private, the public members of the base class become private members in derived class. They are not accessible to derived class objects. Now look here, when the visibility mode is private, the public members of the base class become private members in the derived class. Next point. When visibility mode is private, protected members of the base class become private members in the derived class. They are not accessible to objects of derived class. Now let us go to the table. Now look here. When the visibility mode is private, the protected members of base class become private members in derived class. Now let us see next point. Now look here. Private members of base class are not accessible to the derived class member functions, or the private members of the base class are not accessible outside the base class. So look here, if you declare either data members or member functions under the private section of the class, then they are not accessible outside the class. Now look at the next point. Here, the private members of derived class are not accessible outside the derived class. If you declare either data members or member functions under the private section of the derived class, then they are not accessible outside the class. Next, let us go to next slide. Now this is the next slide. In order to develop any inheritance application, we have to create an object of a derived class, but we should not create an object of base class. Right. Next point. After creation of derived class object, memory is allocated to the data members of the derived class as well as the data members of the base class. Means after creation of the derived class object, memory is allocated not only to the data members of the derived class but also to the data members of the base class. Next, let us go to program to illustrate hybrid inheritance. First, I will be discussing simple program to perform the arithmetic operations instead of discussing complicated program. First, I would like to explain simple program. Later on, let us see complicated program. Now look here. First, as include iostream.h, we have included iostream.h into our current program. Okay. Now class arithmetic. Here class arithmetic is a base class. Okay, within the class arithmetic we have written two sections, protected section and public section. Under the protected section we have written into num1 and num2. Under the public section, we have written only one member function, that is void get data member function. Return type is what? Void. Right. Within the void we have written certain number of the statements. One cout statement for addition string and cout Within the string we have written slash and enter the first number, C in double greater than num1, C out double less than. Within the string we have written slash and enter the second number, C in double greater than num2. This get data member function is used to read the two numbers into the num1 and num2 respectively. It is used to read the two numbers into the data members num1 and num2. Next, after that we have closed getData member function definition. Next we have closed class declaration. Then after that we have written terminating semicolon. Here we have to write terminating semicolon. Why? Because the declaration of the class always ends with terminating semicolon. The declaration of the class always ends with terminating semicolon or simply semicolon. Right. Next we have written class plus, then colon operator is followed by visibility mode is public and arithmetic. Here arithmetic is a base class. Class plus inherits the properties of arithmetic, means class plus is a derived class of the arithmetic class. Under the plus class we have written two sections, protected section and public section. Under the protected section just we have declared only one data member. The variable is what? Sum int sum. This is the data member. Under the public section we have defined only one member function, that is void add. Within the void add we have written only one expression, that is sum is equal to num1 plus num2. Next we have closed definition of the void add. Next we have closed the declaration or definition of the class. Right. Next, after that we have written class minus. Here class minus is another base class. Okay, under that we have written two sections, protected and public sections. Under the protected section we have declared three data members. They are integer types data members. They are n1, n2 and diff. Under the public section we have written only one member function, return type is void, that is member function name is sub. Okay, within the sub member function we have written certain number of the statements. Cout slash n for subtraction, this is a string, will be displayed on the console. Cout slash n enter the first number. Next C in n1, Cout slash n enter the second number, C in n2, diff is equal to n1 minus n2. So this sub function is used to read the values of two numbers into the n1 and n2, and at the same time it executes the expression diff is equal to n1 minus n2. So it reads the numbers from the input device and it performs subtraction operation. Next, after that we have closed the class declaration. Next, this is very important, look here. Next we have written class result. Here class result is a bottommost derived class. Colon operator followed by public plus comma public minus, public plus public minus. Under this class we have written just only one section, that is public section. Under the public section we have written only one definition, that is only one member function definition, only one member function definition, that is void display. Within the void display we have written two cout statements to display the values of sum and diff. Next we have closed what? Class definition. Right. Now let us see actual flow of the program. Let us see actual flow of the program. Next we have written main function also. Yes, look here. This is the actual flow of the program. Now look here. Here arithmetic is a base class. Arithmetic is a base class. Minus is also a base class. Now here what is the next class name? Plus. This is the name of the class. Here, if you consider the relation between the arithmetic class and base class, here we have public visibility mode. Here we have public visibility mode. Right, when the visibility mode is public, the public member of, here we have one public member under the, here we have only one member function under the public section of the arithmetic class. Yes, when the visibility mode is public, the public member of base class arithmetic becomes public member of base class arithmetic becomes public member in its derived class. So it becomes a what? Public member. Right. Public member. Next. Look here. When the visibility mode is public, the protected members of base class becomes what? Now look at the slide. Yeah. The visibility mode is public, the protected members of the base class become protected members in derived class. They become what? Protected members in derived class. So here, already here we have into sum. So now the num1 becomes protected member and num2 also become another protected member. Num1, num2 becomes what? Protected members of its protected members in the derived class. When the visibility mode is public, the protected members of base class become protected members in the derived class. Here num1 becomes one protected member and num2 becomes another protected member. Right. Now let us consider the relation between these two classes. The relation between the class and bottommost derived class result class. Yes. Already here we have defined void add class under the public section of the place class. So totally we have how many number of the member functions under the public section of the place class? 2 member functions. What are they? Void get data is one and void add is second one. Now when the visibility mode is public, the public members of base class, what is the base class of the result class here? Look here. Yeah, what is the base class? Here result class has 2 base classes. First one is plus, second one is minus, right? Public members of the base class becomes public members in the derived class. Becomes what? Public members in the derived class. Public. This is what? Public. Here access specifier is public. Sorry for the interruption. Public, right. When the visibility mode is public, the public members of the base class become public members in the derived class. So void get data becomes public member. Void add becomes the void add member function becomes public member in the derived class. Already we have defined display member function under the public section. This is a display member function, right? Now let us consider next one. Next relation between the minus class and result class. When the visibility mode is public, the public members of it's another base class, that is void sub becomes public member in derived class. So void sub becomes public member in the derived class result, right? Now this is the actual flow of the program. Now let us see execution. Here let us you have to consider here under the public section of derived class we have how many number of the member functions: void get data, void add member function, void sub member function, void display member function. Totally we have 4 number of member functions under the public section of the which class? Result class. So the public members of the derived class, that is get data, add, sub and display, are directly accessible to the derived class object, Now let us go to the main function within the program, right? Here what is a bottommost derived class? Result is a bottommost derived class. Okay, look here. In order to develop the any inheritance application, we have to create an object of the derived class, but we should not create an object of the base class. Yes, here we have created an object of bottommost derived class, that is result. Result is followed by z. Z is an object of result class. After creation of an object, the memory is allocated to the data members of all the classes. That is, the memory is allocated to the data members of the derived class, and memory is allocated to the data members of the intermediate base classes, and memory is allocated to the data members of the base class. Means memory is allocated to the num1 and num2 and num2 within the base class, and memory is allocated to the n1, n2 and diff in the minus class, and the memory is allocated to the sum in the place class. Now after creation of an object, the derived class object z invokes public member functions within that class. Now look here, look in the next slide. Now in the result class under the public section, totally we have 4 number of member functions. They are get data, add, sub and display. Now this object z invokes get data, add, sub and display. Now first the z invokes get data member function. So here get data is invoked by using z. Z is an object of result class. Immediately the execution control goes to result class and searches for the get data member function. There is no get data member function. If it is not available, then searching is performed in either in plus class or in minus class. Searching is performed in the plus class or in minus class. Yes, immediately execution control goes to the place class and searches for the get data member function definition. If it is not available, immediately execution control goes to the minus class and searches for the get data member function. There is no get data member function definition in the plus class as well as in the minus class. So immediately execution control goes to the base class of the plus class. What is the base class of the plus class? Arithmetic class. So immediately execution control transfers to arithmetic class and searches for the void get data member function definition. Yes, here it is available. So if it is available, then the set of the statements within the get data gets executed. Here we have first statement, cout for addition. So the cout object displays for addition string on the output device. Yes, so the for addition gets executed. Next statement, see out slash and enter the first number. So see, enter the first number will be displayed as it is. Now the scene object is followed by double greater than is followed by number. So now we can enter any number into num1 data member. Now let us consider here I have entered 1 into the num1. Next, let us say next statement, see out slash and enter the second number. Enter the second number is displayed as it is. Enter the second number displayed as it is. Next we have written what? Cin double greater than num2. Now we can enter any positive number into num2. Now let us consider I have entered 5 into the num2, right? After execution of this member function, what happens? Immediately execution control goes back to the main function to execute the next statement, that is after z.getData. What is the next statement after the z.getData? z.add. Here z object invokes the public member function add. What is add? Add is a public member function of the which class? Result class. Yes. Now it invokes the add. Immediately execution control goes to the result and searches for the add. If it is not available, execution control goes to the plus class and minus class. And first it goes to the plus class. Immediately execution control first goes to the plus class, searches for the add. If it is available, yes, if it is available within the class place, then the set of the statements under the add member function gets executed. Here we have only one statement under the add, that is equal to sum is equal to num1 plus num2. Means the expression sum is equal to num1 plus num2 is performed, right? After execution of this statement, immediately execution control goes back to the next statement within the main function, that is z.sub. Yes, sub is a member function. It is invoked by using z, where z is an object of result class. So immediately execution control goes to the result class, searches for the sub member function. If it is not available, the execution control goes into either plus class or minus class. First it goes into the plus class. There is no sub member function in the plus class. So immediately execution control goes into the minus class, because here plus and minus are the base classes of the results. So immediately execution control goes to the minus class, searches for the sub function definition. Yes, under the public section we have written sub function definition from year to year. Yes, if it is available, the set of the statements under the sub gets executed. Here we have written CO2 slash n for the subtraction gets executed on the monitor. CO2 slash n enter the first number will be displayed on the monitor. Now let us consider we have entered into the n1. Next statement is what? Cout enter the second number will be displayed on the monitor as it is. Next, cin double greater than n2. Now let us consider we have entered n2. We have entered 10 into the n2. The enter the second number is displayed as it is. After that, let us consider I have entered 10 into the n2. Next, after that, it performs one operation diff is equal to n1 minus n2. n1 minus n2. The result is stored in the diff. Right, after execution of this sub function, immediately execution control goes back to the main function to display the next statement, that is z.display. Here display is invoked by using z. Z is an object of the result class. Immediately execution control goes to the result class, searches for the display member function definition. This is the display member function definition. Under the display member function definition, we have only two statements. They are cout statements. Cout double less than slash and sum of. Sum of will be displayed as it is in the next line. Next, num1. Num1 will be displayed. Sum of num1 double less than and will be displayed as it is on the output console. Double less than num2. Next, the value of the num2 is displayed. Double less than equal to will be displayed as it is. Next, double less than sum, it displays the sum. So this is the output. Sum of num1 is 10 and num2 is 5 and is equal to 50 will be displayed. Next statement is what? Cout slash n. So the difference of string is displayed in the next line. Double less than n1, it displays value of n1. Double less than and, so and string is displayed on the output device. Double less than n2, it displays value of the n2. And double less than equal to is displayed on the output device. Double less than diff, it displays the value of the diff. That is difference of 50 and is equal to 40. After execution of this statement, what happens? Immediately execution controls goes back to main function. There is no statement in the main function. After that the program will be terminated successfully. This is the program of hybrid inheritance. This is output. Now I will be discussing another program. This is complicated program. Yes. Here class student is a base class. Here we have two sections under the base class, that is private section and public section. Under the private section we have declared Arno and name as the data members. Under the public section we have defined two member functions, read student and print student. Next, here we have defined class marks, colon operator followed by public student. So under the class marks we have defined two sections, protected section and public section. Under the protected section we have declared three data members, m1, m2 and m3, to read the marks of three subjects. Under the public section we have defined two member functions, they are read underscore marks and print underscore marks. Next we have written another base class, that is class sports. Under the class sports we have written two sections, protected and public section. Under the protected section we have declared int score. Under the public section we have defined two member functions, they are read underscore score and another one is print underscore score. Right after that we have closed the declaration definition of the class. Next, let us go to the bottommost derived class, that is class result, then followed by colon operator, then followed by public marks and public sports. So class results inherits properties of the marks and properties of the sports. So under this we have written totally two sections, protected and public. Under the protected section we have declared one data member total. Under the public section we have defined only one member function, that is find result member function. Next we have closed the declaration or definition of the class. Next we have written main function. Now let us see actual flow of the program. Right, this is the actual flow of the program. Here student is a base class and sports is another base class. What is the bottommost derived class? Result. This is a bottommost derived class, result, and this is a intermediate base class between the student and result, that is marks class. Look here, when visibility mode is public, the public members of its base class becomes public members in derived class. So read student, print student becomes public members. Read student become public member in the marks class, and print student become public member in the marks class. Read student, this one, and print student also become public member in the marks class, because marks class is a derived class of the student class. Next one, look here. Now here already in the marks class we have defined read marks and print marks. Already we have defined this one, read marks and print marks, right? So already we have defined these two classes under the marks class, right? Now next let us see sports class. Under the sports class we have written two sections, protected and public. Under the protected section we have written int score. Under the public section we have written read underscore score member function, print underscore score member function. Now let us see the relation between the marks class, sports class and result class. Here the result class inherits the properties of the marks class as well as the properties of the sports class by using visibility mode public. Yes, now first I will be discussing relation between these two classes. Now when the visibility mode is public, the public members of its base class, that is marks class, become public members in the derived class. So here the read student become public member in the result class, and read marks become public member in the result class, and print student become public member, and print marks also become public member. Now let us see the relation between these two classes with the help of the visibility mode public. Now when the visibility mode is public, the public members of its base class become public members in derived class. Here read score is a public member, read underscore score is a public member under the sports class. It becomes public member in its derived class. Next, print underscore score is a public member of the sports class. It become public member in its derived class. Now under the result class already we have defined one member function, that is what, look here, this one we have defined already one member function under the public section, that is find result. So here already we have find result. So here totally we have how many number of the member functions under the public section of the result class? Read student, read marks, read underscore score, print underscore student, print underscore marks, print underscore score, and find underscore result. Totally we have 7 member functions under the public section of the result class. All these are the what? Public member functions. The public member functions of the class are directly accessible to its object. So now let us go to the main function. This is the main function. The execution of the C++ program always starts from the main function. Next, within the main function we have written first statement, that is result is followed by R. This is a creation of an object. Here we have created object R. So the object R invokes public members of its class. Public members of its class. What are the public members of its class? Read underscore student and read underscore marks, read underscore score, print underscore student member function, print underscore marks member function, print underscore score function, and find underscore result function. Now look here. Here R dot read underscore student invokes what? Read underscore student. So immediately execution control goes to the result class, searches for the read underscore student. If it is not available, the searching is performed in the marks class or sports class. So immediately execution control goes to the marks class and sports class, searches for the read underscore student. If it is not available, the searching is performed in the base class of the marks class. What is the base class of the marks class? Student class. So immediately execution control goes to the student class and executes read underscore student, that is cout slash and enter the details. Slash and enter the details will be displayed on the monitor. Now we have to enter the Arno and name. Yes. Underscore slash n means the execution control goes to the next line from the first line. Next we have to enter the Arno value and name value. Arno value is equal to 1 to 3 and name value is equal to ch Anil. Next, after execution of this statement, immediate execution control goes back to the next statement in the main function, that is r.readMarks. So here we have read underscore marks is invoked by using r. R is an object of result class, so immediately execution control goes to the result class, searches for the read underscore marks. If it is not available, the searching is performed either in the marks class or in the sports class. So immediately execution control goes to the marks class, searches for the read underscore marks. Here we have read underscore marks. So immediately this statements gets executed. Cout enter marks and scene double greater than m1, double greater than m2, double greater than m3. Right. Now enter the marks. Now let us consider I am entering 90 into the m1, 80 into the m2 and 72 into the m3. After execution of this statement, what happens? Immediately execution control goes to the next statement in the main function. What is the next statement? R dot read underscore score. So read underscore score is invoked by using r. R is an object of result class. Immediately execution control goes to the result class and searches for read underscore score. If it is not available, the searching is performed either in the marks class or in the sports class. In the marks class, there is no read underscore score member function. So immediately execution control goes to the sports class and searches for the read underscore score. Here we have void read underscore score. Cout slash and enter score. Enter score will be displayed on the monitor. In the next line, we have to enter the score. That is, we have to enter the score. We have entered the score of the sport. Next. After execution of this statement, execution control goes back to where? Main function only. To execute next statement, that is r dot print student. So immediately execution control goes to the result class. There is no print student, and goes to the marks class and sports class. There is no print student. Immediately execution control goes to the base class of the marks class. There is a print student. Write this one. Now cout roll number of student, that is rnum, and cout the name of the student is what? Name. Cout double less than roll number of the student double less than roll number. So this rnum displays value of the rnum double less than slash n. So immediately execution control goes to the next line to execute next statement. To display next statement, that is cout double less than name of the student will be displayed as it is because we have written within the string. Then name displays the value of the name. Then after that the execution control goes to the next line. Now look at the output. Name of the student 1, 2, 3 and name of the student ch Anil. After execution of this statement, what happens? Immediately execution control goes to the next statement in the main function. That is what? Read marks. Yes, this one is the next statement. R dot read marks. So, not read marks. R dot print marks. Next, here print underscore marks is invoked by using R. R is an object of result class. Immediately execution control goes to the result class, searches for the print underscore marks. If it is not available, immediately execution control goes to the either marks class or sports class, because these two are the base classes of the result class. First it goes to the marks class and searches for the print underscore marks. Yes, this is the print underscore marks. If it is available, the set of the statements gets executed. We have only one statement, cout double less than m1 double less than space double less than m2 double less than space double less than m3. Here m1 m2 m3 gives values of m1, value of m2, value of m3. These are the value of m1, m2, m3, 90, 80 and 72. Next, after execution of this statement, immediately execution control goes back to the main function to execute next statement, that is r dot print underscore score, print underscore score. So here print underscore score is invoked by using r. R is an object of result class. Immediately execution control goes to the result class and searches for print underscore score. If it is not available, the searching is performed in the marks class, or the searching is performed in the source class. Within the marks class there is no print underscore score, so immediately execution control goes to the sports class and searches for print underscore score. This is the print underscore score. If it is available, the statements within the print underscore score gets executed. Fortunately here we have only one statement, that is cout double less than slash n sports score is. We have written sports score is within the double quotes double less than score, so it displays the sports score is, then followed by score. The sports score is what? 9, right? Next, after execution of this statement, immediately execution control goes back to the next statement, that is r dot find underscore result. R dot find underscore result, find underscore result function, member function, is invoked by using r. R is an object of result class. Immediately execution control goes to the result class, searches for the void find underscore result. Here we have certain number of the statements under the find underscore results. They are: if m1 is greater than or equal to 40 and m2 is greater than or equal to 40 and m3 is greater than or equal to 40, cout pass. M1 is some value. What is the value? 90, 80, 72. Yes, 90 is greater than 40 true, and 80 is greater than 40 true, and 72 is greater than 40 true. So this total expression returns a true. If the condition is true, the next statement gets executed, that is cout pass. Pass will be displayed on the output console, that is it displays pass. Now else condition statements under the else condition will not be gets executed. Immediately the execution control goes to the first statement after the if else block, that is total is equal to m1 plus m2 plus m3. The m1 plus m2 plus m3 is performed and the result is stored in the total data member. Next statement is cout slash n total marks. Total marks string will be displayed on the output console. Next it is followed by total value, that is what? Total marks is equal to 242. This is the output of the hybrid inheritance. Now after that what happens? Execution control goes to the main function. After that the program will be terminated successfully, right? Next, let us go to next slide. Yeah, you may be asked the following questions either in the mid exam or in the semester end exam. 1 mark question. Define hybrid inheritance. 3 marks question. Write the syntax to define the hybrid inheritance. 5 marks question. Write C++ program to illustrate hybrid inheritance. Right. Thank you, one and all. I am closing the session.